Hello and welcome back to Are We There Yet? In association with Matter Private Network. Now today we have a very powerful chat with fashion stylist, best-selling author and longtime friend of mine, Annmarie O'Connor. Because when Annmarie was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's disease at the age of 48, she realised that she had it spectacularly wrong because she thought that Parkinson's disease was just a disease that old men with a shuffle got. And I think it's fair to say a lot of us maybe would have thought the same. She realised she had completely misunderstood the condition. From showering in her bra to Christmas cards that look like ransom notes, Annmarie's story is in equal parts hilarious as it is heartbreaking, and she's documented the whole thing in her best-selling and acclaimed memoir, Twitch. Today we are going to be brutally honest about what it is like living with the condition, because no two persons' experience of Parkinson's is the same. We are talking mysterious symptoms, we are going to talk lockdown diagnoses, and we're going to talk about why you don't look sick is the worst thing that you can tell somebody who has Parkinson's disease. Annmarie, over the last couple of years, has built a toolkit for her survival. Annmarie is living proof that Parkinson's disease does not have to define you. So sit back, let me know what you think, and don't forget you can watch our conversation along on YouTube as well. Annmarie, it is so lovely to see you.
Likewise.
It is so great to have you in studio. You look absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
I have to say, of all the podcast guests I've had on so far, I'm most dressed up for you.
Oh, thank you.
You being like the fashion stylist. We've worked together years ago before.
We did.
And here I got all glammed up, got my skirt on, and I said, do you know what I'll do now? And I said, I have my baggy pants in the bag. And I said, will I wear those for the breakfast radio show and then get into this? I had it all in my suit bag. I said, no, I'll be fine. Opened my lip balm and I've already got the ring marker here. I didn't manage to get any coffee on myself.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's a start.
That's a start. That's always a good start to the morning. Yeah.
But I know you always bring the glam and you look so amazing, and I'm so looking forward to our chat. I'm going to jump straight in, right?
Yeah.
Let's go to pre-2020. And what did you know of Parkinson's disease?
Nothing.
Zero.
I knew nothing. I assumed Parkinson's was something that happened to elderly men.
Yeah.
I understood it to be the stoop, shake and shuffle that's characteristic of people with Parkinson's. I knew tremor was part of it. I always thought it was something that would have happened when you were retired.
Yeah.
And not to women.
Yeah.
Most certainly not to women. I had a cursory, if not completely, I was going to say a cursory understanding. It's correct to say I had a misunderstanding of what Parkinson's was.
Okay. Because I've seen your TikTok, and I've obviously, when I knew that we were chatting, and I've done kind of a lot of reading into it, because like my misconception was the same as yours.
Yeah.
Like I knew nothing about Parkinson's till you did that, really, in terms of changing the way I thought about it, until I read that piece that you wrote for the Examiner, which was amazing. But that must be one of the most annoying things for you, is that people would say to you, you don't look like somebody who has Parkinson's.
And it's something that I try and dispel with my TikTok. About things maybe you shouldn't say to people with Parkinson's, but that's
number one.
That it's a nice, on one, it's a double-edged sword. It's really nice that people say, gosh, you don't like it's. You can look at it two ways. You can look at it as, someone's saying you're looking well, but on the other hand, it can minimize the experience of somebody with Parkinson's, because Parkinson's has over 40 symptoms, both motor and non-motor, and some of the more egregious ones are non-motor. So motor symptoms would be things like my tremor, my involuntary movements in my shoulder. For some people, it's the shuffle, stiffness, frigidity, slowness. The physicality of it. On the non-motor side, you can have things like pain, You know, you can
Yes.
have things like sexual dysfunction. 90% of people with Parkinson's report sleep disorders. Your voice can suddenly get soft. Like I was met up with a friend who has Parkinson's, and I'm from a garrulous family. We're loud New Yorkers, right? And I've never had a problem with projection, and I surely don't have a problem with chat. That'll always stand me in good stead. But he said, your voice has gotten much softer. And I said, I felt that. Like, I felt it coming on since pre-COVID, because I did a radio course, and I found not only was my tremor cutting off because we had to cut our own tracks and stuff like that, and send them in to be graded and whatever, and I would just get the right part, and then the tremor would like delete it, and I'd have to re-record it. But I noticed that I was having more trouble projecting, and like really trying to, and I thought it was just my imagination. And it was like you can Parkinson's affects so much. It affects affect your ability to smell. It was through the Michael J. Fox Foundation that they have a smell test. People with Parkinson's begin to lose their ability to smell. And my sister Patricia is hilarious because she loves perfume. And I was obviously horsing it all over me. And she was like, do you want to actually kill somebody? She's like, I'm going to have to be your barometer anymore. And she's like, you are only allowed to use body spray from now on, because I know how liberal you are with things.
Yeah.
So they say Parkinson's is like an iceberg. By the time you are diagnosed, you've lost 60 to 80% of the brain receptors responsible for dopamine. And but dopamine is
before diagnosis.
By the time you're diagnosed.
Okay.
So for instance, I probably have 20 to 40% of my dopamine receptors left that aren't damaged or completely gone.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say by all this is Parkinson's in early onset is quite slow moving, but it does move. So like I was diagnosed when I was 48, but I noticed my first symptoms when I was about 47. But my consultant said to me, you could have had symptoms prior to that.
Okay.
So he would have done work with incredible research on a football player who was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's, and they went back on all of the videos of games he's played over 10 years, and they were able to track the drag in his leg, how his ability to kick the ball changed, like this fascinating stuff.
Oh my God. And yet he'd had a career and continued to have
He had a career and continued.
Years?
But what's interesting is by the time the iceberg does appear, as you know, then that's when, you know, it all goes a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah.
And then your symptoms, my symptoms anyhow, started to really escalate before we got a diagnosis.
Okay.
And then there was about 13 months of trying to find the right medication, because and that's part of the process. It's like with Parkinson's, not everyone has a different experience of the disease. They say, my sisters say, of all the diseases you could have gotten, this one tracks. Like, we have very dark humor in our family, because they call it the boutique disease, because no two people have the same combination of symptoms. I'm like, well, you know, I would have preferred a Hermes Kelly bag, but here we are. Parkinson's it is.
But you know, Annmarie, reading the book, that's what I loved about it as well. The humour that you bring. It is a dark humour. There's kind of a gallows humour, which that's like me all over. It's my friends. It's like, you know, whenever any of us get sick or anything happens or something happens with the kids or shit hits the fan, like that's where we go. We resort to dark humour, and that is kind of it's my sort of comfort blanket. And I love that with your book.
Tragedy and comedy, there's such a fine line between the two.
Yeah.
And, you know, you sometimes get the best laughs at a funeral.
Yes.
You know, you find
100%.
100%. And, you know, sometimes you cry at moments that are supposed to be happy moments.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's my way. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And it's also genetic in my family. Like, especially my dad's side of the family. They're a hoot and a holler. They're absolutely hilarious. And then my mom's side of the family, you know, the Irish, they're really dark. So I've got some collision course between the two, you know.
And how many sisters do you have? You have Mags and Patricia.
I have Mags, and then Kathryn, Kate, Patricia and Maureen, who are the twins, and then me.
Okay,
the
so all girls, all girls, and
the youngest. I'm the baby.
You're the baby, and you know what? Like, I've read the book, and I was reading it, and I was doing the audio, because I'm 46 now, kind of the same age as you when you were diagnosed, like a couple of years younger, but me running around and, you know, collecting the kids and doing the grocery shop and driving to work and doing the commute and all the bits and bobs. And what really struck me and what really kind of knocked the socks off me was you were doing that. I mean, you're a fashion stylist and a writer, and everybody kind of thinks, oh, fashion, it's so glamorous. But anybody who's seen a fashion stylist work, holy shit, it is like the pulling, the dragging, the bags. And you were having a day, and you were living your life as a woman in her mid-40s, working, hustling, freelancer, same as me, doing all the things to keep all the, you know, everything on track. And out of nowhere, this just gets you. And I just went, oh my God, like, that could be me, it could be any of us, and just out of nowhere. So do you want to take me back to when you first noticed the twitch?
Sure. It was during COVID, and it's funny you should mention about the hustle and the bustle, because I think I had an opportunity to actually listen to my body, because there was a lift in lockdown restrictions, and I was able to work on a photo shoot. In fact, I think I had done 2. And I had woken up one morning and I had a really bad pain in my shoulder out of nowhere, Kathryn. Like, I was like, this is odd. It must have been from lugging around those heavy bags on the shoots. And Jesus, like, I was at a practice because we had been so many months in lockdown. My muscles are just, you know, they're saying, hello, we're here. And I took some ibuprofen and I got on with it. 2 weeks later, I was lying on my bed and I was debating whether to take a shower with my bra on or to cut it off because I couldn't unclasp it. So I wasn't able to sleep on my right-hand side. I wasn't able to lift my right arm above my head, let alone unclasp my bra. And then about 2 weeks later...
What did you do?
Oh, I washed with it on. It was moisture wicking.
Okay. Okay.
I was like, I paid too much money for this.
I was like, even at the best of times, sometimes getting the bra off can be difficult.
I was like, no, I'm going into the shower with it on. Sorry,
they're
guys.
They're expensive, these things.
They're expensive, yeah. So it was about 2 weeks later. We were back in lockdown level 5.
Yeah.
And I live alone in an apartment, and my fingers, on my right hand side, there was like a flutter, and then that became a twitch. And then that became a steady shake. And I think I felt it, like I noticed it. And I think I noticed it for the first time because I was paying attention to my body. I had the time. I wasn't overscheduled. I wasn't putting things on the long finger.
Which we all do.
Which we all do. Now, I was blessed. Like I said, I used to, in the book, I said, if you hear of anyone being knocked down by the 220 from Carrigaline in Cork, it's me, because I am one of these people that the universe had seemed to just pass by. I used to go to the doctor. My sisters would laugh because I'd go just for the crack nearly. Like, could you run my bloods like once a year?
Do something.
Like, do something. They're like, you're fine.
Because you were always so healthy.
Always so
loved
healthy.
Loved your yoga.
Yeah.
Looked after yourself.
Nothing. And I used to think, it's going to be something like I'm going to have one of those jets where I trip and then someone finds me 3 days later. Yeah. Where's Annmarie? We haven't seen her in ages. But so I used to joke about being knocked down by the bus, but I got an awful knock myself. So anyhow, getting back to the twitch, I had called my sister and Mags, and I said, what do you think it is? And she, by her own admission, starts every sentence with, I'm no medic, but and she was
I will give you my opinion.
I will give you my opinion. I'm no medic, but I think this is like a trapped nerve, which should be, where your mind would most probably go
Good
to.
guess.
And I thought, I can't afford to take any more time off work, and I can't afford to go and have an operation and 2 weeks of recovery time. She's like, Annmarie, don't worry, just promise you'll see your doctor when the country reopens. So it's 5 months later when we were allowed to see our doctors. because we couldn't, because of the pressure the health system was under.
And
at the
in
time.
that 5 months, was the tremor getting worse?
Yes. Yeah.
And was your head not going? Were you Dr. Googling? And it's strange. It's such a good question, because I did the opposite. I did a bit of Googling, and just to see, and then my brain must have said something like, "You're not going there," because we had COVID. That was clear and present danger at the time. That was still it was peak COVID. It was November 2020 when that was happening. Stay out of hospitals, stay out of
everywhere, just stay on your own. Then there was the fact that I didn't have a bean because I hadn't worked in months. Like 60% of my income was just like photo shoots and styling and stuff like that, just gone. So I was like, what am I going to do for work? And like, where's the money going to come from? And then I was going through perimenopause. My hair was starting to fall out. It was getting thinner. A lot of the perimenopause symptoms, like night sweats, and are very similar, and anxiety, very similar to Parkinson's.
Sorry to interrupt you. With perimenopause, is there any symptoms of a shake or a tremor?
No.
Okay,
that's the one thing that there is,
because there is the anxiety, there's the sweats, there's all
sweats.
that.
So it's very easy to kind of. Sure, I was still hanging my hat on the trapped nerve, so went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, there are many things it could be. It could be a trapped nerve, it could be essential tremor, it could be Parkinson's, it could be something that we haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. And can I, if you don't mind, because I can see, you're sitting there now, I can see a slight tremor, but like nothing that's hugely obvious. So was that the tremor at the time? Because I know you're on your medication.
It was definitely, I'm on medication now, so that the tremor at the time was definitely more obvious. It was definitely,
Okay.
I remember going in, and it was obvious,
Okay.
And I took videos. And it was really good, is I kept records of things on my phone and through the video, so I was able to see it progress. And
that's such a good piece of advice for people, because you've got time codes.
You've got time codes,
like in that at COVID, when we were all like, time was so weird. Time, like we were all over the place in terms of days and everything. That was so insightful, actually. So, just thinking back.
And so I was able to show my doctor, and we had 3 MRIs. First was a shoulder MRI that completely debunked the idea of it being trapped nerve. She's like, your shoulder's fine, no trapped nerve. I'm like, okay. Could be something else. Could be something easily explainable. Then I had one on my neck and spine, came back clear. I had one on my brain. In the meantime, I had acquired more symptoms. So I had the frozen shoulder had gone at that stage, but the tremor was quite obvious, as was on my right hand side. My leg had begun to drag and became really heavy. I had a heavy sensation, and things felt slower. I felt like I was walking through mud. You know, did you ever see the slow-mos of Baywatch?
Yeah.
I feel like that, as if I was going to grab like the coffee and from the press. Sometimes I just felt things were just going slower.
Okay.
And it was easy to attribute that to COVID.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to have wild restless legs that kept me up. So I had insomnia as a result from that. And then I had, which I now know is something called dystonia, muscle cramping in your feet, where your toes are splayed and sometimes they cross over one another. They make very weird shapes, and you get a pain up the side of your foot and in your toes. The only way to help it is to walk on your foot, and walk on your foot. Nice, Annmarie. Hello, I speak English. I just wrote a book. Walk on your foot.
I got what you did there, though, with your hand movements, like put your bare feet on the ground. And splay the toes out if you can.
And splay the toes out. But sounds like, easily done. No, the pain. And I would just cry and swear. And then when I found out, it felt like, do you want me to go to the diagnosis?
Yeah.
So I had all these symptoms, and then my handwriting had gotten small and cramped.
So I found like writing really difficult because it, like, I used to laugh because I've told this story 100 times. So if somebody has seen this before, they're going to be like, that girl has to get a new story. But it was before Christmas and I was diagnosed. It was December 16th, 2021. And I was doing Christmas cards and I was like, these look like flipping ransom notes. So I was like, I had to actually rip them up and throw them out. I said, I can't send those. Pete, that's like aggressive. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
And still you were not letting yourself.
Oh, then it got
I would have had
worse.
everything under the sun, I think, at that point. I think I would have had...
It happened very quickly, though, if I can just put a caveat that the handwriting and also the hand cupping, my hand began to cup inwards and I couldn't, like, put on makeup. I couldn't, like, brush my teeth. Like, I could do it, but it was like, it would be janky. You know, it was difficult and I knew something was wrong. So my doctor had called on the 15th of December. I remember this so clearly. And she's like, I said, doctor, you know, these, you know, the ransom notes and the cupping hand had started to happen. And she goes, this is inconsistent because you've got clear scans. So I went to CUH, acute medical unit. And she said, bring a book because you'll be there for the day. You're going to see a couple of people, a nurse, a doctor, a neurologist. They'll get to the bottom of it. And she was right. I saw a nurse, I saw a doctor, I saw about 2 neurologists, and then the man who would be my consultant neurologist. So it was about 4:00 in the afternoon, acute medical unit. He went through the origin story of my symptoms, where I was at, went through my files, did a couple of tests, and then was like, you've got early onset Parkinson's disease. And I was like, sorry? And he said, do you want to take a seat? Because I was standing at the time.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And I just went, yeah, okay. And I felt like I went into survival mode at that point, but only posthumously I began to understand that. When my sister, Margaret, said to me, you know, I don't think you're stoic, as Mom always said. I think you were actually in shock. And I said, okay, thanks, but you are right. And she goes, I'm not meaning to be rude, but Mom has always said, you were so stoic, but I genuinely think you hadn't connected with it. And I said, no, you're so right. I hadn't connected with it.
Right. Hands up if you have ever been in a situation where you're just not feeling well. Maybe you're a little under the weather. Maybe you're in a little bit of pain and you're just thinking to yourself, I need to see somebody right now. We have all been there. And you need to know about the Mater Private's emergency departments in Dublin and Cork. Because when you're under the weather, being seen quickly is really all that matters. And their consultancy-led teams aim to see every patient within 20 minutes of arrival. How good is that? This streamlined approach continues right the way throughout your care. So if you do need a scan, an X-ray, an MRI or an ultrasound, they can get those tests done and the results back to you really quickly, which means your medical team can work out the best treatment plan for you as soon as possible. And that is what it's about, getting that specialist care to you without delay. Now, just a quick note, it is for over 16s only, and do remember to check the opening times. The Mater Private Emergency in Dublin is open every day, 8 to 7, and in Cork, it's Monday to Friday, 8 to 8. So if you're not feeling well and you need specialised medical treatment, remember, you've got the Mater Private Network's emergency department. Get all the details you need and a full list of services at matterprivate.ie. Sorted. Was Margaret with you when you heard those words?
No.
You were on your own.
I was on my own. She was on my own.
God,
I live in Cork on my own. And I was like my lovely, lovely consultant was telling me about what Parkinson's is. So Parkinson's, for anyone who's not aware of what it is, it's a chronic and progressive brain disorder caused by declining levels of dopamine, which is a brain transmitter that we always associate with the reward center of the brain, like scrolling too much on social media.
Or food, wine,
sex, that sort of thing. It's responsible for so many more profound functions: movement, mood, motivation, cognition. Then you realize when people start to lose their voice, when they lose their sense of smell, when they have trouble with intimacy, when they have trouble with bladders, chronic constipation, that dopamine affects everything. All of these things. Like I feel like saying, oh my God, we need to do a PR job on dopamine because
100%.
people are missing.
Clueless.
Yeah, clueless about what it does.
Yeah. So he's telling you what it is. And like, are you even hearing him?
I was taking in as much as I could, but I felt like I was there on behalf of myself, like an envoy, like going, or a PA.
Yeah.
Like taking notes. Yeah, taking notes. And he said, I want you to come back in a week. In a few days, actually. He said, because that was like on a Thursday, I think. And he said, come back the following week. Give it the weekend. Let it sink in. Bring a second set of ears. So my best friend, Julie, who lives up the road from me, the two of us went together. And it's great because she's very practical. And she was listening with intent, and I had a notebook and I was taking things down. She knew even the second time, we compared notes afterwards to make sure that we understood where we were.
But that first weekend, Annmarie, when you go home and think about it and come back next week, like...
Because I had to think about, he said, you need to think about, he goes, there's always a trade-off. You could either, like with people who are at a certain point in their life, maybe they're retired, they may not want to go on medication if they feel that they can live comfortably with the symptoms and lifestyle management.
Okay. And you see, and I think this is it, what people need to understand as well. I'm trying to understand, the medication is so good now when it works in the right ways. Again, my perception of Parkinson's was exactly like that, like that misconception that we all have.
Yeah.
Like it is Michael J. Fox, it is somebody who is older and that constant shake, but it's manageable for a lot of people.
It's manageable for a lot of people, but you really need to, it's one of these diseases you can't afford to be passive about, in part because of the medication. So for me, he said, you may want to go on medication because you want to ring fence all of your years that you can still work. So the medication will help you do that, but that's up to you. Now, the reason why he's saying the choice is yours is because certain medication, like there's something called a dopamine precursor, which is levodopa. And it's a bit like, I won't go into the sciencey bit. So we'll just say levodopa is the gold standard of Parkinson's drugs.
Right.
So that's what they put you on initially. So it's like a loading dose, and then you start tweaking it according to, you start learning how to live with it. You take it every couple of hours. If your symptoms are acting up still, then they might add in something else that's like, an extra tablet, or increase your dosage, or whatever it may be to help with that. Because I'm early onset and tremor dominant, levodopa doesn't always help. It helps with stiffness, slowness. Sometimes as a young onset and tremor dominant, you don't get the full benefit of levodopa. And there's something called a dopamine agonist that is a type of medication that works really well with levodopa. But, and there's always a but, there's a 1 in 6 chance of developing an ICD, or an impulse control disorder. And
which basically sends your dopamine through the roof.
Yeah, so hypersexuality, gambling, drug taking, alcoholism. Even like I was on a podcast recently, and the girl who was hosting it had really bad stiffness, and she had deep brain stimulation, and she was saying, the reason why she got it done. And she said, I was on a dopamine agonist, and I was on like so many X milligrams, and we increased it a small bit more because my stiffness was so bad. She became addicted to work. She said, I was working so much. She says, I wasn't like thank God for my husband, because I wasn't feeding the kids. She goes, I just became, and then my consultant was like, we've got to wean you off this. Then they have to wean you off it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a real leveler, because it's also then like, where are your weaknesses, or what gives you your dopamine, whether it is sex, whether it is work, whether it is wine, whether it, you know what I mean? And that you've got to be very honest, I suppose, with your consultant and have that trusting relationship.
But there's, I think, I was kicking myself because it was 13 months before I started the patch that I have that helps I have this patch that I use in addition to my medication, and it just overnight solved so much with the restless legs and the tremor, and it was like a miracle.
And that patch is the dopamine agonist.
That's the dopamine agonist.
Okay,
so
okay.
I've been very conscious about like increasing that and not increasing it anymore.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I would be worried that in my line of work, I'd be a bit spendy-wendy. I'd be waking up, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's insidious. It's not that you wake up with 20,000 euro worth of Brown Thomas bags, you know, in your bedroom and go, how did this happen? It happens.
But, like, you can see how easily something like that would
And like
happen.
the drugs, even though they're very good, they're very, like, I get very tired. I get excessive daytime sleepiness.
Okay.
Like sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, hello?
Yeah.
Did I fall asleep?
Oh my God, I will take no offense.
No, but there's that, and also there was something, I lost my appetite. Like, it killed my appetite. And I lost a lot of weight. And then what popped up for me is I had unhealed eating patterns from the past. And I began to like the way it felt, and I leaned into it a bit too much. And I spoke to Julie about it. My sister and Julie were so instrumental. Patricia saying, "What's happened to you? You've lost too much weight. What are you doing? Why is that scale in the bathroom?" Patricia notices everything. And, you know, having this support system around you.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, just so we're clear, that wasn't an ICD. That was just, I noticed things starting to come up, like I was happy that I was losing the weight, you know, and I had to have a word with myself. And it was, and I had told my doctor, I told my consultant, and I felt, and then it's funny because I went to the dietitian. It's weird. I thought, I was losing so much weight, and I thought there was something wrong with me. And like, it's, denial is a funny place. You can delude yourself into thinking that you're just minding yourself. You're just making sure that you're eating clean and lean and protecting your health. Of course, I'm not doing anything wrong, even though you know. And I went to a dietitian, a Parkinson's dietitian, and she had me do this 5-day meal plan, or not meal plan, what I ate on, you know, and it's only when I look back on it, half of this, a bit of that. And, you know, I was not allowing myself to have a full
And that's so
experience.
interesting that you say that was kind of an unresolved
Yeah.
trauma from your past that sort of appeared and raised its head.
And not that and it's funny because Parkinson's isn't just a diagnosis and a set of pills. It affects all aspects of your life, you know, and I'm glad that it happened, because I remember saying it to Julie. I'm like, I had trouble even saying, like, because I never sought treatment, you know. I was in my college years, but then it followed me. It's just all this unhealthiness, this lack of acceptance. And I think that's what I talk about in the book, is radical self-acceptance. I begin to, not to be corny, but really accept who I am, tremor and all, every single part of me, all the bad bits, the raw bits, the unfiltered bits. And it's weird, once you get to that place of acceptance, not saying, like, Julie would always say, the little man is always going to be in the back of your head. You need to keep an eye on him. But the acceptance really, it's healing. It's very healing. I've just gone back to being me again.
It's so powerful, actually, listening to you say that, because it is even vocally saying something like that out loud that you never in a million years would have said. Never said it.
And it gives it, sometimes when you say something, and it's funny with people with Parkinson's.
What do you label? Is it disordered eating?
Disordered eating.
Yeah.
It would go everywhere from restricting and over-exercising and keeping a rigorous eye on things, denying myself, you know, denying myself. And I felt sad for that person. I felt sorry for her. Like, why are you doing this to yourself?
And Annmarie, there will be so many women listening to this podcast, whether they've been through a diagnosis or a sickness, who will absolutely relate to that. And I think being able to say out loud that you are now, you know, you're accepting where you are now and accepting that this was a difficulty for me. And, you know, like, so can we talk about acceptance a little bit? Because I also, you've said before, you never got angry about this diagnosis. And when I was listening to the audiobook, I got angry for you. And and I think if it was me, and I don't know, I think I would be really fucking angry.
Yeah.
I think this is a disease that is a nightmare. This is a disease that's like
a Russian novel, it was called, in that movie, Love and Other Drugs. Yeah.
Like it's a bad one, and you never got angry. Like,
it's funny, and I don't think I have a friend who was always trying to get me to be angry. My friend Andy, he would have raged against the machine. I'm definitely more inclined to cry than get angry.
Okay.
But I needed to say, go fuck yourself to the universe. And why the fuck has this happened? And let it out. And sometimes I've done that through tears, but I've done that through the writing. Like, I went to a scream club in Kinsale. I was on a beach at 7 o'clock in the morning with strangers, and all of a sudden they said, "Why are you here?" And
I've not heard of a scream club. Is this where people literally just get together and just scream
their fucking heads off?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like,
how have I not heard of this?
And people were there because they were disgusted what was happening in the world, what was happening in Palestine and Gaza. Someone was there because she had just had a messy divorce. I didn't know why I was there. It's funny. And I think I must have known on some level. My friend Julie, my other Julie, had asked me, there's many Julies in my life.
Everyone needs a Julie or two in their life.
Everyone needs a Julie or two. And Julie said, "Do you want to come with?" And her friend Linda was coming. So we got together, and I thought, this would be grand, this is fun. I've never been to a scream club. And
you would be the last person I thought that would go to a scream club, which is probably what they saw you might need as well.
And it was funny because I think there's part of me that's quite restrictive. It's like, keep everything on lock, keep the happy, the face that everyone is used to seeing seen. There's a part of me that's the good girl, the A student who always wants to, you know, we have the filtered fashion editor version that people have seen of me. And I'm sitting there in a big old coat in Kinsale on the beach, and there was drumming and there was chanting, but the thing with the chanting is there was no meaning to the words, and you're almost just listening to these vowels, and that takes you out of your head, you know, and listening to the beat. And then she was trying to get us to scream, to like let that voice come up. And I remember I felt like a bit of an idiot, you know. I felt very insecure, even though it was just after bawling 2 minutes prior, and I couldn't get it out. Some people were, I was like, okay. And then we got onto the beach, and I knew that wasn't me. That was that side of me that's like, this isn't you. This is like, this isn't
what
cool.
Somebody else
yeah,
does.
This is what somebody
cool
else
kids
does.
do.
And we were holding hands on the beach, and she just said, we have to now, like, we were getting ourselves ready. So it was like the prep. Now, scream. I went to scream, and it was like, eh. And it's like something just held me back and just said, no, not today. Not today. And I went home, and I relaxed on the sofa, and I had a nap. And then I thought, this isn't going to happen in just one session. I like to box things off. I think that's why I was so annoyed with myself with with the dopamine agonist, choosing not to take it for 13 months and doing all the other medications before I tried the one that definitely helped but had more risk attached to it. I was like, why am I so afraid? Why am I, I could have boxed this off. And I think with anger, I think there's a lot of grief attached to it as well. And I explore that chapter about how my inability to grieve Parkinson's initially goes back to like my dad dying, I just saw, I lost control. Like there was no control. Like I just saw, my mom said to me, when you were young, you used to, if I got a cold, you'd be panicked and saying, are you going to die? Who's going to look after me?
Because you were 4 when your dad died.
I was 4, yeah. And so there was a real sense. I remember when I was younger, I thought, I just, if I'm good. And like, God, my mother even hears this, she'd be like, what do you mean?
I know.
As a child, like I was always a good child, but I wanted to be better. I wanted just to make things better for everyone. I didn't want to rock the boat or anything like that. And like, my mom's just amazing. In fact, my mom was the one, when I was growing up, forcing me to be like more like stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
And here I was like almost making myself too small. My mom would put books on my head and like high heels and say, you're just going to own your height, and like if people bully you because my American accent, you've got to stand up for yourself, Annmarie. And she was always she was always the one trying to get this out of me. And I was the one pulling in. Yeah.
So do you feel that you found your voice?
I do. It's funny. And I didn't even, only until recently, I was doing the audiobook actually.
Yeah.
And I printed off the PDF and I was practicing at home and I started crying. And that's when I got really angry. I was reading through, I was so annoyed that this happened to me.
Yeah.
And that I was just like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you.
Yeah.
Because I never allowed myself to feel sorry for myself. But sometimes you just have to, and then I cried, and I thought, thanks be to Crunchy, this didn't happen in the studio because it would have been a messy recording. We would have gotten a different audiobook. But I let down all the shields and all and humor can be a bit of a shield as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just said, I just got messy. And I cried my flipping eyes out. And then I wouldn't mind, but I rehearsed it because I'm like such a Taurian and I'm like, yeah, everything needs to be done, earth sign, do things perfectly. And I read it 3 times and all 3 times I bawled at different parts.
Okay. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, which I cannot do. I think there's 2 things listening to you that like anybody feeling sorry for me would drive me mental. And I think, I know you've had really good and strong women and a great consultant in your life, but I also think the constant advice that you must get, like, I'd love you just to talk maybe about those 2 things. I mean, I said, coming in here, I said I didn't want to cry, and because I don't want to feel sorry for you. I feel sorry. I do feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that this fucker of a disease.
There's a difference though between feeling sorry and feeling pity. You're not pitying me.
Yes,
I think that's the difference.
Thank you.
Pity is like a lower level feeling. You're feeling empathy. You're crying because you're putting yourself in my shoes and you're saying this sucks.
Yes.
This is shit.
Yeah.
It's a shit sandwich. It's not. But then again.
And I also want to say, because you're one of the nicest people in the world, and nice is an awful thing. You're one of the best and most genuine people that I have met. We don't know each other that well, but that's just you, and you're so easy breezy and you're so cool, and I'm kind of getting a deeper understanding of you now. And I'm just like, nobody fucking deserves this. It's
you know what, I can't say much more about it because it's in the book and it would kind of spoil a lot.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine was very sick, and I quickly got a reality check. I thought it really consolidated, two things consolidated, changed my mind about things and how I move through the world. My friend got very ill, and people used to say to me, do you ever think, why you? And you say, well, why not me? Like, and also what I'm going through, not minimizing what I'm going through, but comparatively speaking, there's always someone, and when, you know what they say, there's always someone worse off than you. But when that person is your dearest friend, that's just pain like no other.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see your friend go through pain. And it suddenly you start thinking, well, you know, I can look at this differently. And mindset is such a huge part for me. And when I was on the Brendan O'Connor and Tommy Tiernan shows, so many people reached out to me and said, I haven't told anyone this, but I think I have Parkinson's. I haven't gotten a diagnosis yet, but I'm pretty sure, or I have, and I haven't told my husband. I haven't told the kids, and I think a lot of it is because people are afraid of what they'll lose, whether it's friends, whether it's the stigma, whether it is a job. I've heard of people like, you know, being treated to like unfair biases in work as a result. You know, you can't collate the two, but sometimes, you know, when somebody is let go and it's very shortly after a diagnosis, you kind of wonder,
Of course.
And some people might have an elderly parent that they have to look after. They're the caregiver and they have kids, and they're like, I can't be sick as well. And I can't let other people worry about me being sick, especially if you have smallies, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no point in me feeling sorry for myself. I've got a voice, a platform, and a privilege. I've got the wonderful Vicky May, who is my editor in the Irish Examiner, who I adore, and
a woman.
who treats me like I'm one of her own children. You know, you'll mind yourself now. Look after yourself. Are you minding yourself? And like, she's so genuine. And she helped me with my medical coming out story. I wouldn't have trusted anyone but her. She gave me the veto up to the very last day, should I want it or need it, but I didn't because I knew I was in the right hands. I have a wonderful family and support network, and I have a gob that won't stop. So it was just, and this happens over time, and you're like, I need to use this more.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
this will help people.
And it's like, I'm just looking at the words behind you, like this podcast is called Are We There Yet? And I feel with advocacy, you know, you are doing something that is bringing people and helping people understand, you know, the importance it is. If you can, and I know it's not everybody who can speak out.
Yeah.
But you can. And it feels like this is
People
not
feel
just
less
worthwhile,
alone.
but it's cathartic for you, but you understand and you get the value and the importance of educating people. Like, the book is brilliant. It has made me understand something that I never understood before. You know, and I think that is so important.
And I think with Parkinson's as well, it's one of, you know, when people talk about invisible diseases.
Yeah.
So much with Parkinson's is based on the day that's in it.
Okay.
You know, and most days, like, I'm feeling great today, but the days that I'm not, I'm at home. And people will say, oh, you're looking great. And it's like, I'm out because I'm feeling good. Because if I were feeling kind of crappy, I'd probably be at home. You know? But I'm lucky. I'm in such a fortunate position. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
You know, despite my diagnosis, I'm thriving. I'm doing well. And I'll take each day as it comes. And, you know, there are always wonky days. And, you know, my off periods lately when your medication is either on or off. It should last for about 5 hours. But sometimes, they say when you're kind of nearing the end of the 5 hours, your symptoms might act up.
Okay.
And so that's what we have a phrase in Parkinson's lingo. It means you're off. So you want to be more on than off. My off periods have been a bit longer than usual. So, but we took care of that. I've got new medication and I'm starting that this evening. And happy days, and we'll see how it goes.
The podcast is called Are We There Yet? If you are on a road trip, Annmarie, and you have pulled in, are you fueling up? Are you getting ready to go 120 miles an hour? Are you having a sleep? Are you going in a different direction? Like, where are you?
Having a sandwich and a cup of coffee.
Good.
And I'll probably have to use the loo because I always have to pee every 2 minutes.
I love that. But you're feeling good.
I am. I'm feeling the best I've felt in a while.
Okay.
And I think it's a combination of, for me, understanding, not fearing Parkinson's, understanding how to work well within its parameters and how it affects you. It is a slog. It's a constant. Your medication needs to be taken on time all the time. You have to have your bottle of water with you to hydrate constantly. Exercise is key. It is like free medication. Use it.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference. If the days that I'm not exercising, if I don't exercise, it's obvious. So like keep up those, and just we're talking walking, like movement, any movement.
Everybody
keep your body
loves movement. Everybody.
Sleep.
Yeah.
9:30 in the laba.
Yeah.
Like no questions asked. I have to be in the bed.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in bed any later, then that has a knock-on effect. Also alcohol, like I can have the one drink with dinner, maybe if I'm feeling frisky, a second one.
Okay.
Cannot have any more because that'll keep me awake all night. The restless legs will start off again. And if it interferes with my sleep, it interferes the next day. That's not even saying, apart from the fact that I'm 52 and now I get a hangover just from like sniffing the barmaid's apron. So like,
it's a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Like regardless, it's like that's one of the worst things.
I know,
about
it's just
34.
like, what happened?
What happened to us?
And like Parkinson's is something that is part of your life, but it doesn't define your life. Don't be defined by the struggle. That's what I'd say to anyone. Don't make it the be all and the end all. Like it's not great. It's not a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, there's so much else in life that is. And you can, I'm in a good place. So I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, we were talking about the future and how far to look forward, how far you should look forward, because, you can't just live in the present. You have to keep an eye on the future, but you don't want to be so obsessed with, doom and gloom, what's going to come down the road. And she said the best advice I got from somebody is to think of, if you're having real difficulty staying present, just think of today and tomorrow.
That is brilliant.
That's so good.
I love that.
Isn't that wise?
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, today. And she said that was the best
tomorrow.
advice she got from somebody else.
Yeah.
Today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just today and tomorrow. I'm like, I'm so doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my are we there yet from this conversation with you is that I feel that you are there in terms of your acceptance of this, and we are not there yet in terms of where medication is going for Parkinson's, but we are on the way.
We're on the way, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
absolutely.
that. Annmarie, the book is called Twitch. Everybody read it, whether Parkinson's has affected your life or somebody in your life, but in terms of any diagnosis, in terms of handling shit that comes your way.
Any changes.
Any
it's when
changes.
the rug
It's
is pulled from underneath you, whether it's, I say in the book, whether it's your career, your health, or relationship, when something falls apart, all rubble looks the same. And it's our humanity that connects us and our stories that help us heal. So if you have a story to tell and you feel comfortable sharing it, share it, because memoirs and stories aren't just about one person's life. They're a way to bear witness and to connect and to say, that's me.
Thank you for chatting to me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Hands up if you have ever been in a situation where you're just not feeling well, Maybe you're a little under the weather, maybe you're in a little bit of pain, and you're just thinking to yourself, I need to see somebody right now. We have all been there. And you need to know about the Mater Private's emergency departments in Dublin and Cork. Because when you're under the weather, being seen quickly is really all that matters. And their consultancy-led teams aim to see every patient within 20 minutes of arrival. How good is that? This streamlined approach continues right the way throughout your care. So if you do need a scan, an X-ray, an MRI or an ultrasound, they can get those tests done and the results back to you really quickly, which means your medical team can work out the best treatment plan for you as soon as possible. And that is what it's about, getting that specialist care to you without delay. Now, just a quick note, it is for over 16s only, and do remember to check the opening times. The Mater Private Emergency in Dublin is open every day, 8 to 7, and in Cork, it's Monday to Friday, 8 to 8. So if you're not feeling well and you need specialised medical treatment, remember, you've got the Mater Private Network's emergency department. Get all the details you need and a full list of services at matterprivate.ie. Sorted. You've been listening to Are We There Yet? Hosted by me, Kathryn Thomas. Visual design and video edit by Stephen King O'Farrell and Connor Daly. Music courtesy of Audio Network. Series producer Paul McGregor and executive producer Sasha Hamrogue. New episodes of Are We There Yet? Are released every Tuesday morning wherever you get your podcasts, and you can also watch this episode along on YouTube. Are We There Yet? With Kathryn Thomas is an Onic original.